It's a rainy Sunday in Atlanta where we hope Mother Nature will cooperate and allow us to watch the Braves and Brewers wrap up a 4-game series here at Turner Field. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody. With Joe Simpson and Tom Glavine, I'm Chip Carey. Welcome to Turner Field, where about 45 minutes ago or so, fellas, the skies have opened up. And the Braves and Brewers meeting for the final time this year. We got to wait this one out, and hopefully we will indeed have baseball.
You never like it on the getaway day because this is the last time these two teams will meet, so that means you've got to try your best to get it in. We may be here a while in that effort because even though the Braves have an off day tomorrow, the Milwaukee Brewers do not. They travel to Pittsburgh.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, typically I think in days like this, it doesn't seem like it's the kind of thing that's going to be here all day. I mean, it's going to be a little while, but the good news, if there is any good news, is the game never started. Nobody got warmed up. The pitchers aren't going to be in too much of a disarray due to this. I mean, as a pitcher, you never want to be a part of a rain delay, but when you never get started, I'm sure Derek Lowe is comfortably watching the British Open right now, enjoying that. He probably has a pretty good idea of when this thing is going to go away and when they might have a start time. So, it'll just be a matter of kind of going through a little bit of his pregame routine again, but fortunately he never got started, so that won't be an issue.
Speaking of the golf theme, the Brewers teed off last night, won the second game of the series, and really, Joe, the Braves' bats have been sort of in an all-star game or a post-all-star game slumber against this Brewers club.
Yeah, it harkens back to some of the dry periods in April when they were having trouble getting hits with men in scoring position, and actually dating back to the last game in New York, the Braves are just 2 for their last 26 with men in scoring position. So today when this game does get started against Manny Parra, when they do get some men on base, that's got to change and hopefully salvage this last game so that they can at least split the series here at home.
And Alex Gonzalez will continue to play at shortstop for the Braves. Omar Infante getting a start at third. Braves were hoping, Tommy, that Chipper would be able to go today with a hamstring. He pinch hit last night, but can't give it a go today in the series wrap-up.
Yeah, you hope last night, seeing him pinch hit, that was at least a sign that he was on the way and he was going to be in the lineup today. And when we got to the ballpark, he was in the lineup today. And I talked to Bobby earlier this morning, and he said Chipper seemed fine, seemed ready to go, and we'll see what happens in batting practice. But unfortunately, something must have gone on in batting practice that Chipper didn't feel quite right. So with an off day tomorrow, I'm sure they're going to err on the side of caution, give Chipper today and again tomorrow, and hopefully come Tuesday he'll be 100% ready to go.
So a little delay for Chipper Jones to return to the lineup, and a little delay at the start of Game 4 of the series. Braves and Brewers delayed by rain at Turner Field. We'll step aside, take a quick break, and come back and tell you what our rain delay programming will be right after this. You guys are great. I mean,
I thought it was really good.
Well, nobody. jeopardy today if their offense struggles against the Brewers. It's the series finale on Sunday Braves right now on Fox Sports South. We welcome you to Atlanta and Sunday Braves on Fox Sports South. It's brought to you by your Greater Atlanta Hyundai dealers. Make it a Hyundai Sunday every week on Fox Sports South. The rain has stopped, the skies are clearing, and that's good news. The Braves and Brewers wrap up the season series with the fourth and final game of this set here at Turner Field. Atlanta trying to salvage a split of the four-game set here at Turner Field. And good afternoon, everybody, with Joe Simpson and Tom Glavine. Chip Carey back with you at the TED, where all of a sudden, Joe, the Braves have got to find a way to get the bats awakened after the break.
Especially when they get some guys on base, Chip. They haven't been able to really put anybody across over the last four games, dating back to the last game in New York, because they haven't been able to hit with men in scoring position, dating all the way back to that game in New York. They're 2 for their last 26 and just 2 for their last 22 in this series against the Brewers with men in scoring position. So that's kind of what it all boils down to, and that's getting some key hits.
And they're facing a lot of left-handers, Tom Glavine, and they're all featuring the same kind of pitch, that big breaking ball that's given the Braves trouble.
Yeah, I mean, that'll put a lot of those numbers up against them as well. They've run into some pretty good pitching. Santana pitched a good game before the All-Star break. Wolf and Navarro was
Narveson
last night pitched well. So, you know, you get guys out there that are throwing strikes, they're mixing the ball, they're throwing that big curve ball, and you know what? When you guys are out there attacking, throwing strikes, and making good pitches, it makes those numbers with guys in scoring position a little bit tougher, and that's kind of what's happened to them recently.
Well, let's hope turnabout is fair play for Derek Lowe. He's taking the ball for the Atlanta Braves. Derek has had some tough luck of late. He's got a losing streak of 3 games, but not getting a lot of support. But through that all, he can win his 10th if the offense supports him in Game 4 of our Braves-Brewers matchup today. Sherwin-Williams, by your local Ford dealers, by Airtran Airways, and by AT Uverse. And despite the rainy weather this Sunday afternoon, the turnstiles here at the TED continue to click merrily along. A big crowd gathering for our wrap-up with the Brewers. And our Braves broadcast today on Fox Sports South is presented in beautiful high definition by H.H. Gregg. Braves have run into a Brewers buzzsaw in this series. Milwaukee won yesterday's ball game by a final score of 6-3, and this is how Ken Maka lines him up in his Mercedes-Benz starting 9. Corey Hart has been awfully tough for the Braves to retire. One of the hottest hitters in all of baseball. You know about Murderer's Row of Braun, Fielder, and Casey McGee. Manny Parra, the man on the mound, pitching and batting ninth against Derek Lowe.
And for Derek Lowe, 37 years old, 6'6", 230. He makes his 20th start of the year. He's 9-8. But as you see, his last 4 starts, he's 0-3. Good ERA. He's had good stuff, but he hasn't parlayed that into any good results. His last start against the Mets in New York, right before the break, he got beat 3-0. Gave up 2 runs in 5 1/3 innings and 8 hits. His 4 keys to pitching success today. Weeks and McGee. You know that Hart, Braun, and Fielder are going to get theirs. We'll keep Weeks off the bases in front of him and handle McGee if any of those guys are on base. Become the stopper today. Braves have lost 3 out of their last 4. He's lost 3 in a row. Stop all that nonsense today and fire a gem at these guys.
And the Braves stopper will start with Ricky Weeks, the Brewers' leadoff man. And a 78-degree start and a 2:10 start. A 35-minute rain delay officially. And the sky's clearing as Derek misfires again. 2 balls, no strikes. Weeks is 4 for 13 at the plate in the series. And there's the first strike of the day. Towering fly ball to center field, chases Melky Cabrera back, and it's a leadoff home run for Ricky Weeks. His 6th leadoff home run this year. And Milwaukee jumps in front.
Long balls have not really been a problem for Derek this year. That's only the 10th he's allowed, but he fell behind and had to get one up for a strike.
Yeah, he's not going to get too many ground balls with that pitch.
Nope.
Pitching behind on the count, I'm sure. Trying to rely on the sinker right there, trying to keep it down in the zone, but belt high like that, not the pitch he was looking for.
So Ricky Weeks with 16 home runs this year leading off. That leads all of Major League Baseball. That's out of the leadoff spot, the #1 spot, but 6 home runs to start a game for the Brewer crew. And they have hit more home runs than any team in the National League, and they've struck first today.
For me, they've been a tough team to figure out. I mean, they're a pretty good lineup. You know, you look at it from a pitching standpoint. There's some guys that can swing the bat, and I don't know if it's been the pitching or if it's. I know they've struggled to score runs, but you think they'd be having a better year than they are.
Derek recovers and strikes out another homer hitting fool for the Brewers, and he gets Corey Hart on 3 pitches.
They lead the league in homers, and they're kind of giving you a good example why in this series. There's a good sinker, and that is that they have 4 home runs in this series from 4 different guys. So if they're only going to hit 1 a game, make it the leadoff guy and get it out of the way.
Right. Here's Ryan Braun. He's hit 14 home runs this season. One of them in this series. That's for one of his 2 hits. Deep short, Gonzalez comes to a skidding stop. It'll be an infield hit for Ryan Braun. And now Prince Fielder, the man that was drilled by Johnny Venters last night.
I'm not sure why everybody's booing him. I mean, I know why, but I mean, he got hit in the knee the other night, and he got hit by 96 in the middle of the back. I think everybody else would be a little bit upset too.
We were talking during the game last night, Tommy. He had as big a cut as you'll ever see a guy in this era of Major League Baseball when he hit the home run. And Joe and I couldn't figure out where the problem was.
Right. I mean, I felt the same way at home watching. You know, I was watching last night. I didn't have the volume, but I saw what was going on, and so I figured you guys were kind of going through the last couple of at-bats. But, you know, that's the way he swings the bat 90% of the time. And when he did hit the home run, he was running it. It wasn't like he was watching it. So, I mean, whatever. You may not like it, but he's pretty consistent with what he's doing up there.
Into shallow center.
Which all adds up to the fact that it was a purely accidental plunking. It was a pitch that got away from Johnny Venters, the slider that went over the top of his head, then the warning, and then a fastball that drilled him. But they weren't intentional. We've seen Johnny Venters do this before, come in out of the bullpen and fire a couple to the backstop. Unfortunately, Prince stopped the second one with his number.
Yeah, and like we talked about in the open, the perception of that whole thing was, yeah, it looked intentional.
It did.
I don't think it was, but at the same time, I have every reason to go along with Prince on that and have why he's not happy about it. I mean, let's face it, if nothing else, he got hit with 96 between the numbers, and that doesn't feel good.
That hurts.
Casey McGee, the hitter, and takes a ball outside.
I love what Bobby said. I thought it probably diffused the whole thing, and Bobby said, I understand that why Prince would be upset or why he'd be mad, but it was unintentional.
Yeah, and again, in talking with Bobby before the game today, it was, you know, he said the very same thing to me. He said, look, I understand their perception. I understand how it looks. He said they threw one under Mac's chin, and in his mind, you know what, they deserved it. They had it coming, and that was the end of it. He didn't feel like it went further than that in any way, shape, or form, that Johnny had any intent in doing what he did. It happened. And like we talked about in the open, it's not like there's not a little bit of history there. He's had some control problems, right, and that was another indication.
Braun at first with 2 outs. Ricky Weeks led the game off with a home run. And for more on the fielder situation, here's our quote of the day, brought to you by Geico. Matt Diaz talked about what you were saying, Tom, that Prince Fielder gets hit a lot because of the way he hits.
Well, you have to try and keep him at least honest inside. When he's able to extend his arms and get that big swing going, he's going to hurt you. And I think the numbers that I've heard people talk about on inside pitches, Prince is only hitting like $170 or something like that. So you got to get in there. It's always a difficult thing when you have a pitcher out there on the mound who doesn't have great control. You see him trying to pitch inside, and they can't get the ball in there, and then they get hit. That's always frustrating for hitters to see that.
Matt was telling me that existed in the minor leagues too, playing against him in the minors. He's a big target because of his size, and B, because of the way he hits. He likes to dive into the plate and then try to hook everything to right field. So he kind of puts himself in harm's way a little bit by the way he crowds the plate, and mix that with the pitchers pitching him inside. There's going to be some plunkings along the way.
But, having said all that, again, I understand him getting mad, and I'll give Prince credit. As much as he gets hit, he doesn't go up there with any armor like a lot of other hitters do.
On goes, pitch out. McCann's throw. Got it. I don't know if they went to the belt buckle again, but if they did, the Braves sniffed it out.
Yeah, we're going to have to change that sign.
now the Braves with their Mercedes-Benz starting lineup look to take the lead right back. Prado, Hayward, Infante in for Chipper Jones in batting third. Matt Diaz coming back to life, and Atlanta needs him to keep up his torrid pace against lefties. Derek Lowe pitching and batting ninth against left-hander Manny Parra.
27 years old, 6'3", 215 out of Sacramento, California. Good stuff, throws hard, low to mid-90s, has a good split-finger pitch, and it's all about his control. If he can throw strikes, get ahead of the hitters, he's tough to beat. And that goes to his 4 keys to success. Number 1, command. He's got to throw strikes, and his split-finger pitch can be devastating if he's ahead in the count and gets hitters to fish for it. His last start against the Giants, though, 5 innings, 10 hits, 6 runs. He got beat 9-3.
Good to see Martin Prado guys pick up a couple of hits last night. His average at .324, still tops in the National League. And he just missed an extra base hit to right.
Yeah, going back to Parra, I had a chance to talk to Rick Peterson a little bit Friday night about him, and exactly what you said, Joe. Loves his stuff, but it'll be interesting to watch because command is his issue, and with everything that's gone on these last couple of days, it'll be interesting to see how much he tries to pitch inside today. That's something that's been tough for him.
Well, what I hope doesn't happen is we've got an umpire behind the plate, Scott Berry, who's one of the younger umpires around, and you don't want to have him get a knee-jerk reaction at the first close pitch inside and start warning both sides early in the game.
Straightaway center. And Prado's retired here in the bottom of the first inning. Would the players be able to police all that stuff themselves, Tommy, instead of having the umpires try to read minds?
Yeah, if they left it alone. I mean, to me, that's one of the things that's changed in the game that I don't think has been a very good change. And I think too often the umpires don't factor in the gray area. I'm not so sure that there needed to be a warning last night, but I think it's one of those things that a warning is always issued because everybody's trying to cover themselves and trying to prevent an incident from happening.
Jason chops his first pitch to second, and he's out by a step, 2 down.
But I think what led to that happening was, and I'll call them the olden days, when players did police it. Okay, we hit their guy, they hit ours. Okay, we hit another one, they hit ours. We're even. It wasn't that every guy had to charge the mound. I just think in recent times it's been automatic. If you get hit, somebody's got to charge the mound and show how macho they are.
There's definitely some of that, and I think by and large, a lot of it is because so much of that has been taken away. Guys are not fearful of being pitched inside very much, and when they are, they don't like it.
That's true too.
1 ball, no strikes to Braves third baseman Omar Infante. Chipper was in Bobby's original lineup today, but apparently the hamstring still troublesome for him. And Omar gets the start.
I can see already why Peterson likes this guy's stuff. Good 92, 93 mile an hour fastball. Really good changeup right there.
Greg Counsell at short. And Manny Parra works a 1-2-3 bottom half of the first inning. 1-0 Milwaukee in front. by Dodge and by Geico. Milwaukee strikes first. Derek Lowe will try to work a perfect second inning. He'll take a second look at Casey McGee, who was in the batter's box when Ryan Braun was thrown out trying to steal. That play ended the Brewers' first. What a fine guys Casey McGee has been for the Brewers.
Yeah, he's done a nice job for him in the middle of that lineup.
Good sliders.
Two explosive pitches has Derek way ahead. No balls, 2 strikes. A one-hopper right back to the mound. And a good start for Derek here in the second. 1 out.
Another slider. A little off the plate. Had to guard the plate since he was behind in the count. A good result for Derek.
Yeah, aside from the hanging slider for the home run, been pretty sharp. The sinker looks like it's sinking pretty good, and that slider is as good as I've seen it so far this year.
Craig Counsell getting the start at short for Alcides Escobar. In large part because Craig has hit Derek very well in his career.
Yeah, no surprise he's in there with those career numbers against Derek.
He's 10 for 27 lifetime, but slumping of late, just 2 hits in his last 30 at-bats.
Got to make this guy put it in play. Don't want to give him a free pass.
But that's exactly what Derek did, a 4-pitch walk. And Carlos Gomez, the Brewers center fielder, bats with a man aboard.
This guy had a heck of a night in game 2 and 3 for 4. With a walk, he can run. A couple of infield hits in those 3 hits, but they like him a lot. Got him from the Twins for J.J. Hardy. He says he will counteract just about anything good with something kind of goofy.
Can the Braves turn 2 with a fast runner? Yes, they can. Derek Lowe's got the sinker working now. 6-4, 3 and out goes Milwaukee. Nicely turned by Martin Prado. Milwaukee 1, Braves nothing after an inning and a half. Lazy, hazy day of summer here in Atlanta. Milwaukee enjoys an early lead. Braves try to get even with the middle of their order. And after a day off tomorrow, it gets even tougher for the Braves, for one of the top pitching staffs in baseball is coming to town, the San Diego Padres, part of our AirTran Airways upcoming road schedule.
Yeah, for a team that's struggling a little bit here to score some runs, that's not exactly the rotation you want to see coming into town.
No, they do miss Latos, who had to go on the disabled list. Matt Latos, a 10-game winner for the Padres, so at least they miss him.
Troy Glaus takes a strike. Joe and Ernie Johnson will have the call on Peachtree TV the first 2 games of the series. We're back with you for the homestand and series wrap-up.
Note the starting time, too. On the air at 1 o'clock, first pitch at 1:10 next Thursday. Business band special.
Now that you're doing the games with Ernie, are you taking over the role of the corny Joe?
Negative.
No.
Not intentionally.
2 balls and a strike. Fly ball to right. Corey Hart can't get there. There goes the chance for a no-hit bid with tongue firmly planted in cheek. Leadoff single.
Were you feeling one?
No.
No. Okay. There's one of those fastballs. He tried to go in and leaked over the plate a little bit. And Troy got enough of it.
That was Bob Murphy's great line with the Mets. Longtime Hall of Fame announcer. First hit of the game. Well, there goes the no-hitter. And as we all know, the Mets don't have one. You got to say that a lot. Here's Brian. Healthy cut. And back to the screen.
Troy's had a good series. Good to see him get some knocks after losing a few points on his average on that last road trip leading into the break.
Nothing in 2.
Braves saw Parra in that series up in Milwaukee, but not as a starter. He was in the bullpen. He pitched 3 1/3 innings in that series out of the pen and gave up 3 runs.
And Tommy, we talked about it last night. That series might have been one of the turning points of the season for the Braves. They exploded for 28 runs up at Miller Park.
Yeah, it was, that old saying, if timing is everything in life. I mean, the Brewers are struggling bad at the time. The Braves weren't really doing what they wanted to do. And, yeah, if there's a series you can really look at that kind of jump-started everything, that seems to be the one.
Fielder can't handle that hot shot. And Glaus will make his way to third. They're at the corners with nobody out.
Well, that was a bad off-speed pitch there.
Yep, hung it a little bit. Brian was able to stay back an extra click.
He actually hung the one before it, too, and he got away with it, and he tried it again. The left-handed hitter up there, and you're holding the runner on, if you're the first baseman, you typically don't bounce off quite as far as you would with a right-handed hitter. You maybe anticipate a guy hitting the ball down the line, but Fielder went off too far and couldn't get back.
So here's Matt Diaz. He's hit safely in 6 of his last 8 games played. And has 11 hits since coming off the disabled list. Fly ball, left center field and deep. Gomez back at the wall, off the base of the wall. That'll score Brian McCann, or Troy Glaus, I should say. And just like that, we're tied at 1. A bullet off the bat of Matt Diaz.
It's a cold, hard blast, Coors Light, and Matt Diaz. I bet the pitch was down and in. Yep, he is just killing the ball down and in right now, including the home run he hit last night, and just missed another homer here. Quick swing. Gomez chased that one all the way to the wall. He's lucky he didn't have to chase it about halfway back to the infield.
Here's Alex, second and third with nobody out. He's 3 for 9 since putting on a Braves uniform.
One of the things, Tom, you can speak to this about what it does, but one of the things I was told to watch for on Parra is that when he starts his motion to the plate, if his head falls over to the right a lot and his arm starts dragging or coming right up over the top, hitters get a good look at it and his command starts going away.
Well, yeah, I mean, it looks like he ideally wants to be a little bit of a three-quarter guy to where if that front shoulder stays closed long enough, yeah, it's going to be tough for the hitter to see the ball. When he doesn't, you get a better look at it. But yeah, absolutely, his control is going to struggle because when that front side flies open, it makes it awful hard to get to the ball, the outside corner, and it makes it really hard to get that downward tilt on a curveball.
95 on that fastball.
And I think so far you've seen exactly what Rick talked to me about with this kid. Great stuff, but the command is an issue. And if you look at this inning, I mean, it's pretty much been what concerns him about him. A ball that leaks trying to go in on Troy, that's a base hit. He hangs a breaking ball to Mac, and then he tries to go in on Matty. He doesn't get there again, and it's a double off the wall.
Might remind Rick Peterson of another former protege of his, and that's Oliver Perez.
Yeah, similar stuff, but I think a whole lot better mechanics to work with right now.
3 straight Braves hits in the second. Gloss and McCann with singles, Diaz a double. Deep short. Counsell's coming home, and the throw is in plenty of time to retire Brian McCann. So McCann retired at the plate by Craig Counsell for the first out.
There was just a slight hesitation by Brian here when the ball was airborne. And then when he did break for the plate, it was too late. And the Brewers were actually playing back, willing to concede a run, but because it was a one-hopper to Counsell and because it was McCann running, he made a good play to come home and cut off the run.
But on the throw to the plate, Matt Diaz able to move to third base. Now the Braves have runners at the corner with one out. Or corners, I should say, for Melky Cabrera.
Talked about their lack of hitting with runners in scoring position. They already have a hit today with Diaz double. Don't need a hit here. A fly ball would put you on top.
Melky's been a hot hitter. He's got 9 hits in his last 25 at bats.
Must have had something in his eye, but I think the pitch counted.
Somebody was calling timeout. Never saw the umpire jump out. I heard him call it. I never saw him jump out, though.
Time wasn't granted. That pitch did count. It was a ball. 2 balls and a strike. Little dribbler. That'll get a run home. So a little contact for Cabrera. chases home Matt Diaz, give him his 25th RBI, and the Braves lead 2-1.
Didn't matter how to get him in, just get him in.
It's an RBI.
Yep. It leaves another guy in scoring position for Derek Lowe, who could help himself.
So Alex Gonzalez at second. Derek Lowe looking for his 4th run batted in this year. Made a pretty good cut. Strike one.
Just missed it.
Setting him up.
Think he can ping this one to right?
I hope he tries.
That's almost not fair. Come on. 3 pitches takes care of Derek Lowe, but not before the Braves score 2 runs on 3 hits and take their first lead on this sunny Sunday at Turner Field. The top of our 3rd inning. We welcome you back to Sunday Braves on Fox Sports South. It's brought to you by your Greater Atlanta Hyundai dealers. Make it a Hyundai Sunday every week on Fox Sports South. With Braves legend Tom Glavine and Joe Simpson, Chip Carey with you, and the Braves Pennant Race 6-pack is on sale now. Get on board today for the second half of the year. Pick any 6 Braves home games and get a $10 food and beverage credit for each game, for a savings of up to 40% off the regular price. To order, visit braves.com/pennant pack.
Well done.
Practice during the rain delay.
Yep. See, you have to put your time to good use.
There's a first for everything. Here's George Kataris hitting .207. He's got a 5-game hitting streak working. He's got some power. He's hit 7 homers. Brewers lost their regular catcher, Greg Zahn, shortly after we saw Milwaukee at Miller Park. And that's allowed Kataris to play some. And I don't know, Tommy, if you saw that youngster last night, LaCroix worked behind the plate.
Did a nice job. Both these guys, good young catchers, a lot of upside.
And he'll take a seat, Will Kataris. Derek Lowe's second strikeout. Starts off the third inning in good shape. 1 out.
What was this, Tommy? Change-up?
Change-up, yeah.
Good spot.
Talk about unfair. You know, young guy trying to make his mark, looking for that sinker. Throws it in the same spot as it pitched before, but about 7 or 8 miles an hour slower.
I mean, that's an everyday player. You expect to do. They can't do that to another pitcher, can you?
Well, you know what? There's nothing in the rule book that says you have to throw pitchers fastballs.
And maybe that's why.
See?
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, and I'll have to double check this. That's hit number 12 for the Brewers pitchers. They only have 5, 6, 7, 8, 11 sacrifices. More hits than sacks.
That's not good.
No.
Either you're not getting opportunities, which is not a good thing, or you're not doing it when you get the opportunity, which is even worse. Heidi's got more hits alone than they do combined, doesn't he?
Let me see. Actually, they've got more hits than that. Gallardo's got 9 and Wolf's got 11. That's 25, 32.
Okay, I was going to say
35 hits.
Okay.
There you go.
I thought Randy Wolf was swinging it pretty good.
Nice stop by Brian McCann as Ricky Weeks bats for the second time. He led off today's game with a home run. His 6th leadoff home run this year.
Ties the Brewers record for most leadoff homers. A Milwaukee player, and his 16 career ties Don Money for second baseman for most in a season. Weeks had 16 once before. Don Money. There you go.
The Brew Crew back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Harvey's Wallbangers.
Yep.
And similar situation. Loeb falls behind. This time, though, Weeks takes strike 2.
I think he was looking for that same hanging sinker on the inside part of the plate, not the one on the outside black.
Yeah.
Got him. 3rd strikeout.
It's a little more like it. Ricky Weeks hits a lot of homers for a leadoff man. He also strikes out a lot for a leadoff man.
That's 103 now for the season.
Nobody seems to care about that anymore.
No, not important.
Here's Corey Hart. Speaking of strikeouts, that's what he did on 3 pitches. And he's a perfect 4 for 4 in strikes from Derek Lowe.
He's got a lot of family sitting right below us today. All wearing their Corey Hart jerseys. He's from Kentucky. Double check that.
Yep.
Bowling Green.
Rapid rise for Hart. Wasn't even listed on the All-Star ballot for the Brewers at the start of the season. After we left Milwaukee, he went crazy at the plate. Made the All-Star team. Was in the home run hitting contest. So his career changes for the better in the span of about 7-8 weeks. And back up the middle. Makes his homies happy. 2 on, 2 out. And here's Ryan Braun.
Well, as a veteran pitcher, Derek Lowe is smart to let the pitcher get a base hit, make him run the bases, maybe tire himself out a little bit. It's just you don't plan on getting around back to the top of the order and having to then mess with Ryan Braun with him in scoring position.
Well, I mean, if you really want to be in control of it, you let Ryan get a base hit right here. You have Parr get thrown out at the plate, and then he's got to go out and pitch.
Okay.
Maybe have a collision with Mack. I think Mack would win that. And then he's got to go out and pitch.
How about a two-hop ground ball to second?
I was going to say, I'd rather see him do it a little bit easier, but.
56 RBIs for Braun. He has an infield hit in the game. And a good stop. Ball one. Our game is full of numbers, stats for just about everything that you can think of. One really is amazing when you think of how good a hitter's park Miller Park is. Braun's hitting 110 points higher away from home than he is on his home field. 229. Miller 340 on the road.
He did that last year. Same thing. A lot of the hitters for the Brewers, I'm told, I mean, it's in their head. I know it's in Braun's head about the shadows in day games in Milwaukee. Their team record is only 12-22 in day games, and they hang a lot of that on the fact that there are a lot of reflections and shadows at Miller Park that make it hard to see in day games.
No such problem today. Bright sunshine now after a rainy start.
Well, if the shadows are an issue, then they all need to get together and march upstairs and come up with a better schedule. Because that's too good a hitter's ballpark to be doing that.
Well, at the same time, then, if the shadows are a problem for the hitters, then their team ERA ought to be a whole lot lower.
You would think. It's funny, though, because it's not a ballpark that you go into, shadows aside, it's not a ballpark you go into that aesthetically makes you do something or want to do something different, like the Green Monster in Fenway or the Short Porch at Yankee Stadium or some. I mean, it's a pretty symmetrical ballpark, so it's not like you would step in the batter's box and think, oh man, I got to hit the ball to left field or I got to hit it. It's strange.
Yeah, and it'll jump to all parts. Well, 3-2. I'm hoping for that two-hopper all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for the swing and a miss.
Runners will take off with 2 outs.
I think if I'm Alex Gonzalez, I might move a half step to my right because that's where Braun went before, and he's looking for something to pull.
Ho-hum, Tommy.
Yeah.
Struck him out. Struck out the side. Derek Lowe with some nifty pitching in the third. Keeps the lead in the Braves dugout. 2-1's your score. In a 2-1 lead. And as the Braves top of the order comes a calling, let's take a look at our AT&T Uverse trivia question. Who's the only 2020 man for the Brewers and the Braves? And that question is a player who played for both the Milwaukee Brewers and the Atlanta Braves with 20 homers and 20 steals in the same year. A tricky AT Uverse trivia question.
Not in the same year.
Be a heck of a year.
Be a heck of a year if he did 2020
yeah.
for both teams.
No, that'd be a 40-40.
Yeah.
Way high to Martin Prado, who fly to deep center to start the game for the Braves. The tricky part of the question is, remember, the Brewers were also in the American League. So don't just think of their National League history. Think of some of those AL players that you might not be quite as familiar with.
B.J. Surhoff ever hit 20 homers?
My guess would be, yeah. I don't know that he ever stole 20 bases here, though.
He's the first guy I thought of.
How about Marquise Grissom?
I like that one.
And Martin Prado, a leadoff walk. First of those issued by Parra. Now he's got to go through the heart of the Braves order.
Hey, he's out on the bases. Sun beating down on that helmet.
See? It's all part of the plan.
He's already a little dizzy when he went out there.
Yeah, it's the little things in the game that go on that people sometimes don't realize. They think you stink, you're giving up a hit to the pitcher, but it's all part of the master plan.
Derek Lowe.
Set the hook.
I think if he throws that breaking ball again, better not stay in that area.
Yeah, do that one more time, please.
Bounced up the middle and through for a clean hit. And Prado, with some terrific base running, goes from first to third. That's something else this Braves team, guys, I think has done exceptionally well, is run the bases.
This one's hard to do, Chip, because the first thing that Martin's thinking of is breaking up a double play. So he's not making a big circle at second base. He's going straight at the bag and then has to really cut it sharp. So that was very good base running on his part to accomplish that.
So a leadoff walk, a single up the middle for Jason Hayward, and Omar Infante is the hitter. He rolled out his first time up.
Remember when the team started making their surge, Chip, we talked a lot about how, yeah, the Braves do have big innings, but it's those innings that they had a chance to add single runs to leads that they started doing so well. Case in point right here. And it may well turn into a big inning. To get that guy in from third first and then see what happens.
And during that stretch, they weren't striking out a lot. They were putting the ball in play. We know how often this team walks. They've worked the count as Omar has here. See a fastball. And then they didn't miss it. And it's 3-1. '25th RBI for Infante. Prado scores his 64th run of the year. Hayward stops at second.
Can't pitch Omar up there. He's too good a high fastball hitter.
As looked like another fastball he was trying to go in with and didn't get it to a spot in there.
So 3 runs, 5 hits already in the game. And still nobody out for first baseman Troy Gloss.
That goes back to what we were talking about a minute ago, Tom, is, correct me if I'm wrong, but if he's flying open, if he's trying to throw a fastball, it's hard to get the ball down.
It is. It's almost impossible because you can't get out over your front side. And I think what you tend to see why guys tend to do that a lot is when they're going inside, they feel subconsciously like they've got to put more on the ball to get it in there, so they try to overthrow a little bit versus trying to take the approach that you're trying to be sneaky quick. You're just trying to get it in there. You're not trying to blow it by somebody. I know that's where I always, whenever I struggled trying to go inside, it was exactly that. Is because I felt like, okay, I need to get it in there. I want to throw it a little bit harder so your effort level gets a little bit higher, so everything gets a little bit faster versus just taking the approach that they're not looking for it. Just sneak it in there and hit your spot.
And even if you just miss a little bit, you might break a bat.
You might break a bat, or even if you miss inside, you've at least got them thinking inside, so now it opens up maybe another 2, 3, 4 inches on the outside corner, so you don't have to be as perfect out there.
Two balls and a strike. How much of that was determined by the era in which you played, too, where everybody from 1 through 8 could hit 20 or 30 home runs a year?
Well, that was part of it, and part of it was the nature of the strike zone back then, too. It was more of a horizontal strike zone. It wasn't an up and down strike zone. So, you tended to go to the corners and not so much on the upper and lower portions of the strike zone.
Another walk. And the bases are loaded with nobody out. Second walk of the inning, second walk of the game. Katara's out for a chat with Brian McCann in the batter's box.
He's been behind in the count with the first pitch in 5 of the last 8 hitters. It's cost him 15 pitches this inning, 11 balls.
So the base is full of Braves and nobody out. And tickets to the Braves Hall of Fame luncheon and induction of Tom Glavine. Folks, it's right around the corner. Friday, August 6th at the Omni Hotel at CNN Center. Those tickets are going fast. Call today to reserve your spot for what will be the largest crowd in Braves Hall of Fame history. For info, call 404-614-2310. Strike one to Brian McCann.
Hitters love that first pitch fastball after a meeting on the mound. Guys walk the guy in front of him. Everybody's just locked in on that first pitch trying to get ahead. Matt just missed it.
And now has some work to do. 0-2 the count.
Here's where he's so solid, Brian McCann. Left-handed hitter, left-handed pitcher. He's willing to give up that inside third a little bit. He's confident that he can fight the ball off in there. Or if you don't put enough on it, he'll turn on it. But because he's willing to get his hands inside the baseball, he's dangerous if you try to run the ball away from him. You're almost better off trying to pitch him inside here. That's where they're going.
Swing and a drive. Deep right field. Hard back. At the wall. Leaping try. It's a grand slam.
Yeah, not going in there. Well, there again. I mean, threw it right down the middle.
Right down the middle. Brian didn't miss that one on an 0-2 pitch.
Nice play at second by Weeks. On a sizzling line drive from Matt Diaz. A grand slam for Brian McCann blows this game open.
Did I hear correctly? That's already 6 career grand slams for Brian. Wow.
I told him to do something to thrill me before the game.
Wow. You're going to have to show up more often.
Yeah,
that's all.
come on.
I'll call him.
Okay.
How about that guy's week? All-Star game MVP. A bad dance move with Eric Kinski. And a grand slam here on Sunday.
No one throwing in their bullpen.
Again to second. And Alex Gonzalez is the second out.
I think we still need to tip the cap to Derek Lowe. He knew what he was doing.
Yep.
Mara was obviously addled when he went out there.
He was obviously what?
Addled.
I don't know what that means, but I think it meant tired.
No, it's whim whammy.
Whim whammy. Yeah. Adam.
What are you're breaking out all the Oklahoma stuff for us today?
Oh, that's universal.
Whim whammy is?
Yeah.
Addle. Can you spell that so I can use it in Scrabble?
ADDLED.
All right. Addle. I like it.
Well, I got the ADD part, but
yeah, you do.
One ball, one strike to Melky Cabrera. 7 runs on 6 hits. The inning started with a leadoff walk. Hayward and Infante singled. Gloss walk. McCann unloaded.
It's amazing how many big innings start with a leadoff walk.
I don't know how he reached that. But there's something else too to the mindset of a hitter. Like when the Braves had first and third, nobody out, and Omar got the base hit to get one in. Everybody gets a little more confidence. They already got a run in. Maybe we can get a bunch. You know, everybody gets a little swagger going.
Well, they got a bunch, and they do have a swagger working. A grand slam for Brian McCann, the big blow in a big 5-run third. Atlanta leads the Brew Crew 7-1 after 3. FC by Blimpie, by Georgia Power, and by AT Big third inning for the Braves. They plate 5 runs, take a commanding 7-1 lead behind a grand slam from Brian McCann. And now Derek Lowe with a big margin with which to work. Will go through Fielder, McGee, and Counsell in the Milwaukee fourth. Fielder's flyout ended the Brewers' first inning. Last year, this guy had an amazing season. Was the only major league player to play in every game on the schedule. And in those 162 games, hit 46 home runs and drove in 141 men. Joe made a great point last night in that Fielder this year has hit 21 homers, but of those 21 homers, he's only knocked in 42 men.
17 solo shots.
Well, either he's not getting the opportunity to hit much with guys on base, or when they are on base, nobody's pitching to him.
Well, their offense it really centers around home runs, not singles, not manufacturing runs, but long balls.
Inside corner. That's where he doesn't like the ball, and Lowe dotted the glove.
That was a great pitch. Sherwin-Williams painting the corners, and he did just that.
Yeah, I don't even know if that pitch was on the corner. I think it looked like it was like in or third. But that's, it was a great job of setting him up. Pitch the ball away, come inside, and get that guy conscious away. And you got a whole lot of room inside.
And Derek's got the strikeout pitch working in this game.
Yeah, he's got 5 already, and 7 is a season high.
Got Casey McGee to tap back to the mound, leading off Milwaukee's second inning. Now gets another tapper, this time to third. And Gloss off the bag, applies the tag, 2 outs.
One thing you have to remember is who the hitter is and can he run or not. So Omar had plenty of time here. McGee does not run well. Got a little help from Troy on the other end.
Here's Counsell, who walked his first time up. This guy's a real pro, isn't he, Tommy?
I used to hate facing this guy.
Really?
Oh, got so many things going on, you don't know where to throw the ball.
But his stance is a lot simpler now, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I guess compared to what it used to be, but I don't know that I would use simple to describe it. It's not as he doesn't have the big arch in his back like he used to.
Not quite as pretzel-y.
But he can play. I mean, he's the kind of guy. I don't know that he's as talented as Omar, even in his best day. But he's the kind of guy you love to have on your team. He can play everywhere. He helps you when he's in the game. He battles when he's in the game, and he spent a lot of time as a starter.
Ground ball to first, and Derek Lowe, with 56 pitches, is through 4 innings with a gigantic lead. Braves put it to the Brewers. 7-1 your score. Derek Lowe pitching well, and the Braves offense, as we were hoping, fellas, has awakened, it would appear today, from their struggles against the Brewers in this series. And Derek Lowe will try to help himself against Manny Parra. And how about that? Nice swing from Derek Lowe. A leadoff fourth inning hit.
Well, when you get the leadoff hit, now he's going to have to pace himself.
Well, see, maybe Manny's trying to get him a little addled.
Maybe. Today's are confused.
Or whim-wham.
Whim-wham.
Here's Prado. He walked and scored. Ahead of Omar Infante's third inning single. Martin still atop the National League batting race at the start of today's play. And he'll sky one to right. One on, one out. Prado started the day 2 points ahead of Andre Ethier of the Dodgers, 3 points ahead of Marlon Byrd of the Cubs. He's still way in front of Brandon Phillips in hits, and now 5 runs behind Phillips on the top 10 run list in National League play. Jason Hayward has singled and scored.
A team everybody's got to keep an eye on because they're coming to town pretty soon. Next homestand, that's the Giants. They're good pitching. They have their lineup a little more put together. Aubrey Huff's playing in the outfield and getting some regular at bats. This kid Buster Posey is just tearing it up behind the plate.
Bouncing ball to second. Weeks to second for one, and that's all Milwaukee can get. Braves will gladly take that exchange. It'll give Derek Lowe a chance to get in the dugout and cool off a bit as he's the second out.
Giants have won 5 in a row, including 3 in a row against the Mets, and only hope they'll sweep them today. There are the standings. They've gotten within 3.5 of the Padres, and with San Diego coming into town Tuesday, Giants will be keeping an eye on that series here in Atlanta.
Yeah, this stretch of the next month or so is not going to be an easy one at all. Braves. We got a long road trip coming up after the Padres. We're at Florida, at Washington, at Cincinnati. And as Joe mentioned, home with the Mets and Giants. And that'll get you into the second week of August. And with a ton of home games left on the schedule, the Braves have played great ball. 31 wins and 12 losses at Turner Field. That will be a big advantage for them in the season's final 2 months. Brian McCann's grand slam, the biggest blow of a 7-run, 7-hit attack.
Got a great story about Brian McCann for you real quick, and it won't come as any surprise to either one of you guys. A couple of days ago after the game, he'd walked to the players' lot, and then he forgot something, and he saw one of our camera operators, Henry Matthews, putting one of the carts away for the end of the day, and asked Henry if he could borrow the cart because he forgot something in the clubhouse.
Line foul.
Henry said, well, I can't give you the cart, but I'll give you a ride back. I'll take you back. And Brian said, I'm just exhausted. I'm just so tired. This is like after the second game after the break, and he had caught both those games. So Henry gave him a ride. Brian went in to get whatever he'd forgotten, and he came out and had taken the time to go get a bat out of his bat rack, autographed it, gave it to Henry for his trouble.
No surprise.
No surprise.
Two balls, two strikes.
Somewhere along the way, Manny Parra is going to figure it out. It may not be with the Brewers, but then that's when the Brewers are going to say, well, where was that guy when he was with us?
Absolutely.
Up the middle. Another hit for Omar Infante. Jason Hayward will stop at second. Well, that's the amazing thing about our game. Just about every team has a coach or a general manager who thinks we can be the folks who can fix this guy.
No, it's true. And especially with a guy like this, left-hander, that has this kind of stuff, he's going to get every chance in the world. And you know, look, I spent time with Rick, and if there's a guy that can help this kid and fix him, I think he's with the right guy right now. But you know, if you're paying attention to this game, it goes to show you stuff versus command and experience. You know, Derek Lowe made a mistake to the first hitter of the game trying to go inside, and he hasn't made one since. He's had virtually every strikeout since then has been on the inside part of the plate. Versus Parra, who every time he's tried to go inside today has made a mistake, and those have led to the big runs and the big hits he's given up.
Troy Gloss pops it up. Behind second, Weeks staggers but makes the play, and that retires the side. All Atlanta 7-1 after 4. Face the 7, 8, 9 hitters. For Ken Maka, let's revisit our AT&T Ubers trivia question. There's only one player with a 20-homer, 20-steal season for both the Brewers and the Braves. Last chance, fellas. What's your guess?
I'm staying with Marquise. That's all I can think of.
I'm going with Tommy.
I'll say Johnny Damon, our fallback. And it was Marquise Grissom.
The only guy I could think of that played for both teams, so I didn't really have anywhere else to go.
Well, I'm proud you did.
Thanks.
Our AT Uverse trivia answer.
One of my favorite teammates, Marquise.
One of my favorite players to watch.
Carlos Gomez. 2 balls and a strike.
Talk about a guy who brought it every day.
Right to third. 1 out. I've got 5 ground ball outs for Derek Lowe. Well, maybe 6 if you count the double play. He struck out 5. It's been a real easy afternoon for the Braves outfielders. Only Prince Fielder has been able to hit the ball out of the infield.
He's back where he likes to be, and that's getting some run support. And 3 of those ground ball outs, Chip, have been the last 3 outs.
So he's in a nice rhythm as he faces Kataris. As mentioned, Marquise Grissom, he's the most recent Braves hitter with 200 or more hits in a season. Team Prado's got a chance to catch him.
What year was that?
He had 207 hits in 1996. Downstairs, ball 3 to the catcher, George Kataris. He was struck out by Derek Lowe, his first and only time up. And this one popped up into shallow right. And Tommy, while we're reminiscing about old teammates, this day in Braves history, 1993, they made the big trade to acquire Fred McGriff, and I'd say his debut was a memorable one.
He lit a fire, no pun intended. Love that swing, man. That's one of my favorite follow-throughs ever.
I mean, that 93 season was one of the great pennant races in the history of baseball, not just in Braves history. Braves and Giants toe-to-toe to the final weekend of the year.
Yeah, it'll arguably be the last real pennant race, you know, that type of situation where you don't have the wild card to fall back on. And I know people have heard it, but the beauty of that was at the All-Star game, Barry Bonds getting on Smoltzy after he heard we got Freddie McGriff and saying, "Sorry, boys, it's too late. You're not going to catch us." I thought we did.
And what'd the Braves go?
What was it, like
52 and 18 after the trade.
Something crazy.
And how'd you like to be John Smoltz running into Barry Bonds and say, "You won 103. Wasn't enough, big boy." Braves beat him by a game. So Fred McGriff acquired by the Braves on this date in 1993. He didn't play his first game until July 20th.
Yeah, that was the night of the fire and his home run off Rene Orocha. You might have noticed that was Brian Jordan leaping for the home run, too.
I think I pitched that game, too. Didn't pitch very good, but we won.
Just missed inside to Parra. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And to first. Gloss has it. Lowe breezes through the 5th inning with a 7-1 lead.
San Diego Padres. Braves, Padres, Thursday at 1 on Sports South. This is our team.
Bottom half of the 5th inning, Braves up by 6. Here's our air trend. How far did it fly? Home run by Brian McCann. A grand slam just out of the reach of Corey Hart. 359 feet. That's our air trend. How far did it fly? Home run. Just enough.
And as if on cue, he'll start the 5th.
Imagine that.
Brian's been in 5 All-Star games now. And even by his lofty standards, he'd be the first to tell you he really wasn't happy with the way he swung the bat before the All-Star break. Just think what kind of damage he and this Braves offense can do in the final 2.5 months if he gets going like he's going right now. But he's down on 3 pitches to start the 5th inning.
And how about Parra? Parra's thinking, oh yeah, why couldn't you have done that a minute ago?
Exactly.
So Brian's retired, and you can get the Brian McCann All-Star MVP 10-game plan today. Pick any 10 games for $16 a game. You'll get prime seats in the lower outfield pavilion, regularly priced at $24 to $28, and a Brian McCann jersey T-shirt. That's a savings of 47%. To order, visit Braves.com/McCann or by phone 404-577-9100.
407 might not get you where you need to go.
No. Unless that's the number for the Disney Wild World of Sports complex in Orlando. That's the Orlando area code. 404-577-9100. Swing and a rocket hit deep left. No doubt about that one.
He's back.
And the Braves are taking on an awful lot of left-handed pitching frustrations on Manny Parra today.
And that record against left-handed starters is going to change, going to shift a little bit with the return of Matt.
Another one. Missed location, trying to go away. Throw it right down the middle.
And up.
And I think for Parra, if he's going to make the next jump with the stuff that he has, I mean, it all boils down to fastball command. You know, it just shows you. I don't care how hard you throw. If you can't throw it where you want to, you're in trouble.
You made a great point a minute ago. It doesn't matter how good your stuff is if you don't know how to pitch.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you see Derek's not throwing 95, 96, but he's got a good sinker and good location that he can rely on.
Fly ball to left that Braun chases down. Alex Gonzalez is the second out. Now the Braves started this game 14-16 against left-handed starters, hitting around 245 as a club. Today, 8 runs on 9 hits against a guy that can really bring it. Has missed his spots a lot. And the point I made about Brian McCann, guys, I think applies certainly to Matt Diaz too. The Braves are going to see a ton of lefties in the second half of the year. He's healthy and he's hitting.
Valuable part of the team last year, career 300 hitter. And missed him for about 6 weeks.
Two balls and a strike to Melky Cabrera. Now 3-1 with low on deck.
And you're going to need him. I mean, that's obvious, but the other teams are going to get better too. Mets just got Beltran back. They're going to get Reyes back at some point. The Phillies are going to get Chase Utley back. They're going to start getting some of their pitching healthy too. These top 3 teams, especially in the National League East, are all going to just get better as this second half goes on. Got to have all your bullets.
In the air to right. And that retires the side, but not before. Matt Diaz continues his torrid hitting. He hits his second homer of the series, his first of the day today. And after 5, it's the Braves by 7. Dealers make it a Hyundai Sunday every week on Fox Sports South. The Braves bats have awakened in a big way. 8 runs on 9 hits. A grand slam from Brian McCann. Matt Diaz has homered, has doubled. He's knocked in 2. And the Braves, after 5 behind Derek Lowe, have a terrific chance of splitting this 4-game series with the Brewers.
Well, based on the numbers, if they can get to the 7th inning, they're in good shape. Milwaukee's 3-42 when trailing after 7.
That brings me to a question for you, and it'll put you on the spot a little bit. And it has to do with Trevor Hoffman and his efforts to try to get to 500 saves, or is it 600? How many's he got? His efforts to get to 600 saves. Got off to a bad start. He's 5 for 10, loses his job. Given that he doesn't have what he used to have, how hard is it just to hang in there, maybe just for a milestone?
It's hard, especially if you're doing it at the expense of your team. You know, and I don't know what's gone on with Trevor. I don't know what has been the reason for his struggles, and I know he's pitching a little bit better since they moved him to the setup role, and you know, if he'll eventually get an opportunity to get back into the closer role. But you know, I think that's the hardest part. If you don't feel like you quite are the pitcher you used to be, which, let's face it, at this stage of the game he's not going to be, but you can still go out there and have some success and not be a detriment to your team, that's one thing. But if you're getting to that point.
As Weeks pops one up by the Milwaukee dugout. And run out of play.
You know, if you're getting to that point where your team's struggling, you're struggling as an individual, and that's leading to your team struggling a little bit, boy, that's a tough call.
But that's only something you can really answer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think that, and that's hard for some guys to honestly answer, you know, what's going on and honestly assess where they are. And and why they're not having success. I mean, I don't know. Has it been bad luck, or has it been a lack of stuff? Only he can answer that, but that's the hard part for a lot of guys, is to answer that question honestly.
I'll make the comparison to Ken Griffey Jr. this year. He's kind of relegated to pinch hitter, DH, that type of role, and it just wasn't any fun for him anymore. He didn't feel good coming. Didn't feel like he could contribute off the bench like that, and he decided to pack it in. Trevor Hoffman's been a guy who's been the guy. He's been the closer. He's been the man they look to at the end of ball games, and now he's not in that role anymore. And I wonder if it's still challenging for him, if it's still fun for him in something of a lesser role.
Fly ball center field by Ricky Weeks. Melky going back at the wall, and it's another home run. "17 home runs for the Brewers' second baseman, who is some kind of strong. That was to straightaway center field.
That's a team record for second baseman.
Not quite the same pitch he hit out earlier in the game. Not the location Derek was wanting for. It down a little bit more than the first home run, but definitely caught too much of the plate.
Easy swing too.
Yeah, and that's 2 line drives to dead center field, which is pretty impressive.
5th career multi-homer game. And as Joe said, a record-setting blast for the Brewers, who trim the lead now to 8-2. Back to the Trevor Hoffman thing, from a pitching standpoint, did you notice a drop-off in your stuff toward the end, Tommy?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I think, look, I had a natural drop-off in my stuff just due to age,
right,
and due to innings pitched. So, but it wasn't drastic from 5 years previous. I mean, it was.
Corey Hart, a fly ball to right. First out.
I think for me, it was still a lot of the same stuff. It just, I think for me, it was not so much a lack of stuff anymore as it was not being able to locate as well as I did at one point in time that made it more difficult for me. You know, I think in Trevor's case, what might make it a little bit harder for him to walk away, and again, I haven't seen him pitch, and I don't even know how close he is to 600 saves. He's obviously close.
He needs 4.
He needs 4. That makes it easier for him to hang in there. In Ken Griffey's case, he's not playing for anything. He doesn't have a milestone. He's in the Hall of Fame. There's nothing more he could have accomplished the rest of this year that he's either going to be able to say, hey, I was able to walk away from the game because I did this, or hey, if I continue on, it's going to get me in the Hall of Fame. He's done everything he's going to do. He's not going to accomplish anything else. Trevor's at least got something. And, you know, hey, maybe it becomes a situation where it gets to September and they're out of the race and they throw him back in the closer's role and they roll the dice and they see what happens and there's no consequences and he gets his 4 saves. And if he does, good for him. You know, it might not be the prettiest way to do it. 2 years, 3 years, 10 years from now, he's got 600 saves and nobody's going to remember how he got there.
Right. That's true. Does put a hardship on that guy, though, Ken Maka, somewhere along the way where you determine, okay, all right, do we have a legitimate chance at the division title or the wild card? Do we give him a chance at it?
That ball beaten off the plate. Omar unloads quickly, and Gloss unable to scoop it. And that will be an infield hit. The ball lodged in the Braves dugout, so Braun will move over to second base.
Good pitch. Just the springboard off home plate. And Omar having to hurry the throw. Might have gotten him if Detroit had been able to come up with a miraculous short hop.
You know, and one last point with Trevor, too. I mean, if the team gets back into the race in September, it's obviously going to be a tough call. If they don't, then it becomes a little bit easier. But it's not like you're dealing with a guy who's a detriment to the team.
Okay.
He's a great guy. He works his butt off, always has. Right. And he's going to be helpful to those guys in the bullpen.
I'm sure his teammates want him to get 600, maybe more than he does.
I guarantee you they do. They probably, you know, they probably feel better about it than Trevor does right now. But, you know, like I said, he's such a good guy. He's such a great example for those guys in that bullpen that, even keeping him around is going to be worth something.
Lowe continues to pound the ball inside on Prince Fielder in this game, and it's worked well. Prince fly to center and took a called third strike over the inside edge back in the fourth inning.
Yeah, he definitely made him conscious in his last at-bat. It'll be interesting to see if now he's after doing that, if he goes back to attacking him on the outside corner.
Ball 2 outside, 2 balls and a strike. Brewers start the day's play 9 games behind the Reds, 8.5 games behind the second place Cardinals in the National League Central.
As you watch Fielder hit here, especially from our center field camera, what you'll see is him lean into the plate. His upper body will come back to the plate. His stride, while not drastic back to the plate, it steps back a little bit toward home plate too. But he'll step this way, and then he's trying to pull the ball to right field.
And he golfs that ball into right center field. That'll chase home Ryan Braun, and it's now an 8-3 Braves game. 4th RBI of the series for the Brewers' first baseman.
Tried to run the ball away from him, but even though it was down, it was out over the plate.
But see, that's exactly what you're talking about. Is his all, it's not as drastic as Andres Galarraga was back in the day, but it's the same kind of philosophy where he's starting to open, he's coming back towards the plate, trying to cover that outside portion of the plate, and you can see why if his momentum is taking him towards the plate, it makes it really hard for him to get to that pitch that's up and in. And when guys are trying to attack him up and in, you stand to reason that you're going to get plunked a little bit. That pitch right there, which is very typical of a lot of lefties, especially guys that are diving, that pitch that ends up in but down is a pitch that can still, even though the momentum's going back towards the plate, they can still drop the head of the bat on it and get to it. But that pitch that's up and in, when he's moving towards the plate like that, it's a really hard pitch for him to make contact with.
Brief visit from Roger McDowell, the Braves' fine pitching coach, as the bullpen gets busy with Casey McGee in the batter's box. 8-3 now, Braves in front. Fielder at first with 1 out in the 6th. And another base hit, this one to right field. That's 3 in a row.
Well, Casey had struggled against him today, chasing some sliders, but at least he learned something. He learned to go up there and at least look for the slider. And he got one that was up a little bit and took it to right field, didn't try to pull it.
And that's going to do it for Derek Lowe. Derek goes 5 innings and 1/3 today. 8 hits, 3 runs so far. Derek had the strikeout ball working through the 4th inning. He punched out 5 in the game and had good control, walked just 1. He'll get a nice ovation. 8-3 Atlanta. Braves go to the bullpen. We'll tell you who's on to pitch after a quick timeout. score a couple more in this 6th inning as Bobby Cox makes the AT call to the bullpen. He will bring on left-hander Mike Dunn with 2 in, 2 on, 1 out, and Craig Counsell coming up.
There's his numbers at Gwinnett. You see a lot of strikeouts, more than a strikeout per inning pitched. A lot of walks. He pitched his first game for the Braves here 3 nights ago. Worked an inning, gave up a hit and a walk, but struck out 2. And he can throw hard. One of 3 guys in the Braves bullpen left-handed right now that can throw 95 or better.
And there's another one on the DL, right?
Yeah. There goes Flaherty right there, too.
Braves got Mike Dunn from the Yankees with Melky Cabrera and right-handed pitcher Arodys Vizcaíno for Vasquez and left-handed pitcher Boone Logan. That was right before Christmas Day last year. Eric Lowe, 5 1/3 innings. Needs some help from the pen today. Not even 1-1.
Sorry, Chip. Boone Logan just got called back up by the Yankees.
I think with Mike Dunn, it's a similar situation to what you see with Parra with the Brewers. When he stays within himself and is nice and easy and throws the ball 93, 94 miles an hour, that's when he's most effective. He fights trying to overpower the ball, throw a little bit harder, then his control gets a little bit out of kilter.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
I'm going to guess that for pitchers like Mike Dunn, it's like a hitter who's trying to hit the ball a long way, so you think you got to swing hard, and all of a sudden your muscles tighten up. The bat actually slows down versus being nice and loose and fluid and letting it go.
Absolutely. It's like how many guys hit a home run when they're trying to hit a home run?
Now it's a full count.
And I think that's the pitch he struggles with right there, where he tries to throw it too hard, pulls it, and ends up throwing it down and out of the strike zone.
Fly ball center field. Melky coming on. Plays it on a hop. Bobbles, but no further advance. And a soft single by Craig Counsell loads the bases for Milwaukee. And still only 1 man out.
Good pitch. But Craig Counsell had a better pitch count to work with and knew that he was going to have to find the plate somewhere. Just dumped it into a nice area out there behind second base, and dangerous hitter here in Gomez. He's got some pop.
He's hit 5 home runs. He has 20 RBIs. And he's bounced into 1 double play. Could this be the second? There's 1. Leap from the throw. Got it.
What a play by Gonzalez. scoring. And how about this double play to ice the Brewers here? Just happened in the top of the 6th inning. What an acrobatic play by Alex Gonzalez to get out of the way of Craig Counsell. Actually facing toward the third base line and got off a good throw to Troy Gloss to complete the double play. That's the Coors Light Freeze Can, brought to you by Frostproof Coors Light.
Big ovation here at Turner Field as we always honor our heroic men and women of the military. Hometown hero from the United States Army, Staff Sergeant Trent Byerly, given a standing ovation. He's from Fort Benning, Georgia. Friends and family welcoming him home. We salute Staff Sergeant Byerly and all the other heroes of our military here in Atlanta. How great is that?
That doesn't get any better than that. Wow.
Here's Mike Dunn. He'll bat for himself in this 6th inning. And his first major league plate appearance.
You know, I think he's a converted outfielder too, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
He might put a pretty good hack on this.
Messed up my scorecard. I already totaled them up. Thought for sure about it. Pinch hit for me.
Well, Derek Lowe's in line to win his 10th. Braves need to get 9 more outs. As Dunn is down on strikes. 4th strikeout for Manny Parra. Braves in the Atlanta Tennis Championships have teamed up to bring you to the ballpark and to the court this summer. The Atlanta Tennis Championships are taking place now through July 25th at the Atlanta Athletic Club in Johns Creek, Georgia, part of the prestigious Olympus U.S. Open Series. For a ticket combo, visit Braves.com/tennis.
So much for the former outfielder theory.
Yeah.
Well,
Didn't
how
get
about
a chance to cut it loose.
Martin Prado has walked and scored today.
Kind of an odd situation when the guy that's leading 8-3 is out of the game and the guy that's trailing 8-3 is still in there.
Swinging bunt. Parra had best hurry. Not in time. Infield hit.
Once he tried to play that with his glove, he had no shot. That's definitely a ball you got to corral, play it barehanded, and just try and throw it all in one motion.
And if you're going to get 200 hits in a season, and Martin's got a great shot at it, you got to have a few of these.
Well, he's 74 away now. That was number 126. And you're right about Parra. The hot or cold nature of the way this guy pitches has been apparent today. Breezed through the first, gave up 2 in the second, the big inning in the third. And after that third inning, just 1 run allowed on a handful of hits.
And that's on the home run by Diaz.
Yeah, the stuff is there. Now the next step is going to be the consistency factor of locating it where you want to more times than not.
And that clipped Jason on the way by. And they're going to issue a warning.
Unnecessary.
That's Scott Berry behind the plate. As that ball clipped Jason Hayward on the way by, and Berry points to both dugouts and issues a warning.
He'd made 2 pitches trying to pitch inside to Jason, and he did a third time and glanced off his leg. And if that had happened in the first inning, Berry would have done the same thing. That's what I was worried, that there would be some knee-jerk reaction based on last night. And sure enough, that warning to both sides, totally unwarranted.
And that pitch literally was a knee-jerk reaction.
Yes, it was.
And that's going to be the last pitch of the game, apparently thrown by Manny Parra. Ken Maka will go to his bullpen. David Risky is up and throwing, and apparently will be the man brought on to face Omar Infante. 8-3, Atlanta the lead. And another threat working. 2 on. Inning. Double switch for Milwaukee. Lorenzo Cain will take over for Gomez. He'll bat in the number 9 spot, which is due up second when Milwaukee is up in the 7th. David Risky has been good in his first 13 appearances in the bullpen.
Back to that incident last night where there were a lot of quotes in the paper from both sides over the plunking of Prince Fielder, and manager for the Brewers, Ken Maka, certainly trying to protect his own player by saying, you know, that it looked intentional. Maybe there were some suspensions that should be addressed. But both managers met behind home plate before the game today and talked it over and shook hands, and all's well that ends well. And Bobby made it very clear after the game last night that it was not intentional. Everybody also agreed that it didn't look unintentional.
Yeah, and I think, from Bobby's case, he was pretty adamant about it not being intentional. And I know, having played for Bobby, if there was intent there, he's not going out of his way to go meet with somebody and tell him otherwise. If he's not. He's just going to play it as it is and see where the cards fall. But obviously, in this case, he's pretty adamant about that there was no intent. He wanted to make sure that Ken Maka knew that and the Brewers knew that, so he went out of his way to deliver that message. Now, whether or not they want to believe him, that's their prerogative.
So Risky versus Infante with 2 on and 1 out.
We had a player my last year in the big leagues with Kansas City who would strike out on a breaking ball, come back to the dugout and just scream at the pitcher, throw a fastball once in a while. And he did that against the Texas Rangers on more than one occasion, and they had a big old manager named Doug Rader. Remember Rooster?
Sure do.
Yep. Big old boy. And he passed along a message to our manager, Dick Hauser, said, there's going to be a fastball thrown all right the next time he yells at one of my guys, but it's not going to be for a strike.
Yeah, I used to love when guys would do that.
That ended it.
Yeah. Just stand on the top step of the dugout and tell him, throw me something I can hit.
Yeah.
Because I can't hit that.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Risky putting sleeper hold in this 6th inning.
But isn't it somewhat challenging a guy when everybody in the ballpark knows what pitch you're going to throw him, including him, and he still can't hit it?
Yeah.
It's not like he was out thinking him.
Right center field. Will that one get down? Hart can't make the play. Streaking around is Prado, and he will score without a throw. Oh, Brian Snitker had a great look in the third base coaching box, and Prado never stopped. An RBI for Omar, a 3-hit game, a 2 RBI game, and there's one of those runs right back.
That was either going to be a base hit and an RBI, which it turned out to be, or it was going to be a double play because Martin broke before the ball ever came down. He just decided that it was going to drop, and Hart almost came up with it. You can see where Martin was already around third base.
Yeah, he held up a little bit, and then he kind of made up his mind. I'm going. Yeah, you're right. If he'd have caught that, that's an easy double play.
9 runs, 11 hits.
See, he just had read it. He just had decided that Hart couldn't get there. Good instincts on Martin's part.
So he scored a couple of runs. That gives him 65 runs scored for the Braves this year. Now Troy Gloss ahead in the count. 2 balls, no strikes. Troy scored a couple of times today. Now the decision for the home plate umpire. Intentional or not? Gloss is hit, and this to me is the worst part of the warning system. How does the umpire know intent?
Well, Bobby's coming out. Maybe he called Bobby out. Did he call Bobby out, or do you want the kid to come out with more baseballs? Joe West is the crew chief, and I wish he'd keep his nose out of it at least for a couple of minutes and let Scott Berry handle it.
Again, you get that whole thing of trying to interpret intent is such a hard thing to try and do. Maybe the saving grace, the smart way to do it right here, if they are trying to do it intentionally, is they did set up inside. So it's easy to say, well, the pitch got away from me. But I'll tell you what, you hit a guy in the middle of the thigh or you hit a guy in the middle of the back, and both of them look fairly intentional.
Well, I wouldn't have any problem at all if he had issued the warning now.
Right.
I had a problem with issuing the warning after he hit Hayward. That was such a brush pitch that there was obviously no intent there.
Well, there's no intent, and there was no reason to hit Jason Hayward. If you're going to hit somebody, to me, you're going to hit Mac, who's hit a grand slam in the game, or you're going to hit Matty, who's hit a home run in the game. There's no reason to hit Jason Hayward.
I mean, you can understand Gloss. It was their first baseman that got hit. Fielder last night. Gloss gets hit here.
Well, you're not going to hit a guy to load the bases up to pitch to Brian McCann. So there was no intent.
Right.
I understand that. But I don't like his quick reactions on the very first hit batter. That was not necessary.
3-0 count. And it's a bases loaded walk. And a 5 RBI day for the Braves catcher. And all Risky has done is come in and make matters worse for the Brewers. Base is still loaded. 2 runs are in. And still only 1 man out. Ten runs, 10 hits allowed by Parra in 5 innings and a third. 2 RBI day for Matt Diaz, including a line drive homer last time up, and that one almost took off Joe West's head. A bases loaded single from Diaz. He's knocked in 3 today.
You're right, Chip. I don't know how Joe West ducked that one. That had some top spin on it, and it was kind of chasing Joe West, who was in close.
I mean, he almost leaned right into it. 11-3. What a big inning for the Braves. A couple of times today. 5 runs in the 3rd, 3 and counting here in the 6th. A 3 RBI day for Matt Diaz. Brian McCann ties his career high with 5 runs batted in today. So the middle of the Braves order has been real destructive. With that RBI hit and his continued good work, Matt Diaz is our Toyota Tundra hardest working player.
Outstanding numbers for the last 8 games, including the long ball.
Alex couldn't stop himself and is struck out. So on the check swing, Risky has his first strikeout. And Melky Cabrera, the 9th man to bat the inning.
Tough one to lay off. That fastball up. But he went.
He has 1 career grand slam. And now he can really keyhole a pitch. 3 balls, no strikes.
Probably a good idea to take one here, though, up 11-3. And now you can tee off.
And he tried 2. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Ball center field. Kane drifts back, and Lorenzo reaches up and retires the side. 3 more runs come across for the Braves in the 6th inning. It's 11-3, Atlanta in front. Fitting time now for a money and energy-saving bright idea from Georgia Power. Look for the Energy Star label when buying new appliances. You can do that by going to GeorgiaPower.com for more energy-saving tips. Georgia Power is a Southern company.
Hey, by the way, I went up in the attic today so that when I went home, I'd know what size filter to get for the replacing after the tip yesterday. And I'd forgotten that I had bought backup filters that were already up there.
So you didn't have to go get new ones.
No, I'm way ahead of the game. I'm so much smarter than I thought I was.
And are they the Energy Star?
Either that or I'm dumber because I can't remember stuff like that.
Maybe you should go buy them anyway so that the next time you go up there not knowing, you'll have them again.
I'll say, wow, I've got like 4 now.
Exactly.
I'm good for a week.
George Koutaris leads things off in the 7th inning. Well, this is nice to see. The Braves playing good baseball today at home. In position to split the series. They haven't lost a series at home in a long time. And put a little pressure now on the Phillies. Put a little pressure on the Mets, who are chasing them in the divisional race. Braves started play today 4.5 games in front of the Phillies, who leapfrogged over the Mets, who were beaten again at the start of their long post-All-Star break trip.
Phillies, the Phillies. You got to beat the champ to be the champ. They're not going to go away.
And they're in Chicago tonight to play the Cubs at Wrigley Field. Mets are in San Francisco and losing again early. And here's the rest of the division as we battle on in the late innings in Atlanta. Don't forget the trade deadline, 13 days away. Those two teams at the bottom of the Eastern Division might be busy. As far as the selling part of the equation is concerned, Braves made one trade. We'll see if they make another before the deadline.
I was just thinking about that, about how there might be some general managers calling Frank Wren about every other day going, you know, I was just going over your roster, and it appears you have way too many left-handers that throw 95.
Frank's response will probably be, and it's going to stay that way.
Yes, we noticed that too.
Yeah, they're in a good position. I mean, they don't, if something falls in their lap, great. But, I think every team, no matter how good you are, you think you can improve yourselves, and they certainly did with getting Alex Gonzalez. But there's no dire need here for any additional pieces.
Popped away by Koutaris, who is 0-for-2 in today's game.
Which is great, because then, it's a funny dynamic, too. When you're one of those teams like the Phillies who might be thinking, man, if we can pull a trigger and get somebody and get better, and you got all that expectation leading up to it, then if nothing happens, all of a sudden you're like, well, wow, we didn't do anything. Now what?
Well, in the case of the Phillies, it's a lot like the Braves. Remember, Atlanta got Hayward back. They got Jurgens back. The old saying, like making a trade without trading anyone away. Joe touched on it earlier. They're getting Polanco back. You know Utley's going to come back at some point. They've got Jay Happ working in the minor leagues. Those are all three very important pieces for Ruben Amaro and Charlie Manuel.
But their starting pitching is scuffled. Joe Blanton has not been the guy he was the last year and a half for them. They've been looking to try to improve their rotation a little bit because of Blanton's struggles and Happ's injury. The guy that keeps floating around out there, I mean, from a trade standpoint, is Jason Worth, who's going to be a free agent. They've got some depth in the minor leagues with a rookie named Dominic Brown, who's from the Atlanta area. But he's an unproven major league player, very good minor league numbers. Just a question of what they're willing to do to improve.
10th pitch of this at bat with Dunn and Koutaris, and it just missed the corner. Leadoff walk earned by the Brewers catcher. How close was this?
Sherwin-Williams painting the corners. Apparently it was a narrow brush because it just missed the corner.
So Lorenzo Cain will stand in. Kane, the 8th rated prospect by Baseball America in the Milwaukee system. He's out of Tallahassee, Florida Community College. And battled injuries all last year. Sprained his left knee. Missed half the season.
His first major league at bat came here a couple of nights ago, and he just hit a rocket. And Matt Diaz made a diving catch on it.
Kane, according to the Baseball America Prospect Handbook, didn't play baseball until he went to high school. A gifted athlete with great raw physical ability, but still learning the instincts of professional baseball. But that, his first big league hit, and it was a rope to left field. So Lorenzo Kane will have a souvenir, and Bobby Cox will make a visit to the mound and take the baseball away from Mike Dunn. He's allowed a couple of hits, a walk in 2/3 of an inning. Top of the Brewers order coming up. We'll tell you who the new Braves pitcher will be in an 11-3 Braves game. And Bobby Cox makes another AT call to the bullpen. And the man he calls upon to get ground balls is the man on the mound. That's right-hander Peter Moylan.
Peter very upset with himself last night after giving up the bases clearing double to Corey Hart that allowed 3 runs that belonged to Tim Hudson to score.
Well, Weeks has had himself a big day today. A couple of solo home runs, and both of them to center field.
Started the game with this one, a high fastball that was crushed. Might have been a hanging slider. Another one off Derek. Again, Derek only given up 9 homers all year, and he gave up 2 today to Weeks.
"17 homers, a new Brewers record for a second baseman. And now 3-0 as the skies off to the north darken and the wind's starting to shift. There is rain all around the ballpark. It's already an official game. The last thing Braves want is a delay. Let's work out and get this in the win column. 3-1.
Well, the real discouraging thing for the Brewers is the fact that they got a couple in the top of the 6th to make it 8-3, and then the Braves came right back with 3 of their own to kind of put it out of reach. So you might think.
Bases loaded now, nobody out. Now you're looking at Hart, Braun, and Fielder. Again, the Brewers have hit more home runs than any team in the National League, and they're a couple of long balls away from making this a whole lot more interesting than we'd like to see. Corey Hart flirting with a .300 batting average will take a 9-game hit streak with him to Pittsburgh. That's where the Brewers play next.
That double last night, part of the ongoing damage he's done against Moylan. It includes a homer. 4 for 9. Peter's gotten ahead of him here, 0-2.
Took a little off the slider, and Hart down on 3 pitches.
I like it when he takes a little off that breaking ball.
Yeah. Gives them another pitch. They're used to seeing that slider at one hard speed, and if he misses with his location on it, or you know, typically doesn't have as good a break, they can stay on it. But that one there, where he takes just a little bit off, it's almost like another pitch for him because it's a change in velocity. It gives him a little bit more room for error.
Does Brian McCann need to know that he's going to do that if he's called for a slider?
Probably not. I think as long as he knows. He's thinking slider. He's thinking in a certain location. It's not slow enough that he's going to start reaching for it and get out in front of it and maybe have catcher's interference or anything like that. I think as long as he knows the pitch is coming, he can adjust to the speed.
Ron couldn't adjust to that pitch in a perfect spot. 1-2.
You know, especially if it's going to be on the same side of the plate. Because I used to do that with Brian, where I would, you know, when he'd sometimes call for a fastball in and I'd throw a changeup instead. You know, he didn't have as much of a problem with the change in velocity as long as he knew it was going to be on the same side of the plate. And I think that pitch is similar.
Chance for 2. 1, 2. Rack him up.
See how fast Gonzalez got the ball out of his glove? Amazing.
Bases loaded, nobody out. And the Braves, Peter Moylan and the Atlanta slick fielding defense turns 2 and sends this game to the stretch. Seventh inning stretch in Atlanta. 11-3 is our score. Let's take a look at our Blimpie game summary. Derek Lowe pitched deep enough, guys, to earn his 10th win, and at long last, the Braves bats came to work for him.
Did a good job, too, of hitting with runners in scoring position today, right from the very first inning. Of course, the big blow by Brian McCann kind of help everybody relax.
Yeah, grand slams usually will do that for you. But, you know, it's like you were talking about earlier during the game, too, Joe. When this team has had an opportunity to have some innings here and there where they can tack on a run, tack on 2 runs, and either expand their lead or get the runs back that they've given up, it just seems to make a world of difference in the confidence of the team. When you're not relying on those big innings or having those games where you have opportunities to score runs and you leave guys on base all over the place, this team, when they are playing well, does a pretty good job of tacking on one here, tacking on one there, and the next thing you know, look up and they got 7 or 8 runs.
Thanks for the FaceTime, Tommy. It's
yeah.
Bring your daughter to work day at the ballpark today. This is my daughter Summerlin, who's 12 years old. She's helping us add a little class to the broadcast booth today.
Yeah, she's going to be 13, you know.
Yes,
I'm going to be a teenager.
I'm reminded of that daily.
You know anything about that?
Ooh, yeah. Yes, I do.
Well, it's great to have Summerlin around. She's been a great help today.
Yeah, she's done a good job getting us the M&Ms.
Thank you, sweetie. Love you. All right, back to work we go. Here in the bottom of the 7th inning, it's 11-3. Atlanta in front. 3 double plays turned by the Braves defense. And Eric Hinsky will come on and bat for Peter Moylan. Quick strike to Eric Hinsky.
He had a lightning bolt out of here last night.
He didn't just say lightning bolt with...
Oh, yeah, sure.
I didn't want to go there, but yeah, he did.
Poor choice. Big Tot Coffee.
I wonder if he was a little addled due to his sprint in from the bullpen.
He could have been.
2 strikes.
Addled, disoriented, confused.
Whammy-whammied.
No, whammy. Just one whim. There's no whammy going on there.
I'm sorry, I just don't speak Oklahoman. To short. And Hinsky is the first out. Braves getting it done today against Manny Parra. Big stretch of games against left-handed pitching. Brewers threw 3 at him in this series. The Braves are going to get one right out of the chute at the start of the San Diego series, and they'll see a total of 2 against the Padres.
Yeah, Wade LeBlanc on Tuesday and Clayton Richard on Thursday. With John Garland, a right-hander, sandwiched in between on Wednesday.
We won't have to worry about that sneezing fool, Matt Latos. Injured himself, the Padres say, trying to hold back a sneeze.
I want to know where he was that he was trying to hold it back. Was he in church? Was he in a meeting?
He was at the ballpark, they said.
Really?
Yeah, he was like on the steps of the dugout or something in Colorado.
Wow. Bad place to hold one in.
Yeah. Let it go.
Prado rolls to second. And there are 2 out. Fans register now to win a $500 shopping spree at the Braves Clubhouse store at CNN Center. The sweepstakes run through August, so register today. For complete contest rules, visit the Braves Clubhouse store at CNN Center. No purchase is necessary to participate. Well, that sneeze for Latos comes at a real opportune time. They want to keep track of his innings pitched. He'll miss, I guess, 3 starts. He'll keep his innings to a reasonable total as the Padres try to, I don't know if you can say surprise everybody, but win the West. They're 3.5 up.
I think that's a big surprise.
Is it?
Yeah. I think it's an understatement to say it's a surprise.
Yeah.
We saw them early, and we were all impressed with their pitching. Didn't know how much they'd be able to hit.
They've got a roster full of guys that are good utility players, I'll say.
Hayward, big hop to fielder, risky to the bag, and he retires the Braves in order and sends this game to the 8th inning. 11-3, Braves in command. Braves are in front. And as we move along to the 8th inning, Bobby Cox makes another AT call to the bullpen. And this time it's right-hander Jesse Chavez.
Jesse has not been getting much work lately. He and Kenshin Kawakami, because the Braves have been rolling right along. They haven't needed a lot of long relief, and there haven't been any blowouts to speak of. But Jesse worked an inning 2 nights ago, gave up a hit, retired the side in order after giving up a double to Gomez.
Prince Fielder will lead off the 8th. Braves lead of 4.5 games in the East, the largest divisional lead, as Fielder towers one to left center field, and that one an opposite field home run. His 22nd homer of the year, but Joe, another solo shot.
18th. Some leather lung fan was all over him at home plate. Let's see if Prince tries to find him on the way back to the dugout. Down Broadway.
Kind of gets back to what Matt Diaz said in the quote of the day. That's what he does when he gets his hands extended, or his arms extended.
Point of contact should be well out in front. Yep, right out there.
Casey McGee drives that to right, but that's playable for Jason. He's got it. Craig Counsell up next. Brewers have some decisions to make. Do they keep or trade Corey Hart? Do they keep or trade Prince Fielder? Both of those guys are free agents after next season. As we told you, Milwaukee 9 games out in the Central with 2 teams ahead of them, the Cardinals and the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, they're in a tough place. You know, I mean, on the one hand, with Prince, you trade him now, you're going to get more value for him because somebody's going to get him for a year and a half. But then you're sending the message, obviously, that you're giving up on this season. Maybe if you wait, try and sign him in the winter, and you don't, then PR-wise, you got a little bit more ammunition.
Well, you give them credit. A couple of years ago, they went for it. They traded for CC Sabathia, made the playoffs. That snapped a 26-year playoff drought for the Brewers. They were hoping to ride that into the World Series. It didn't work out that way, and then Sabathia, of course, left for free agency.
Yeah, but you know, by all reports, they tried real hard to keep Sabathia. They made some really good offers to him.
Yeah, I'm not saying that the Brewers did anything wrong, but at the end of the day, their end result was they didn't have any of those prospects, and they didn't end up with Sabathia long term. As Joe Inglet steps in to pinch hit for Risky. And is Corey Hart the 22, 23 home run guy, or is he the guy that we saw the first 6 weeks of the season? And in the case, I guess, of Fielder, you see the numbers, you see the power, you see the play at first base. How big does his big body concern you 4, 5, 6 years down the road of a long-term contract?
Well, yeah, I think physically you have to have concerns about him. Obviously, numbers-wise, you know, there's much less concern with him, I think, than there is with Hart, because Prince has done it year in and year out, and the numbers are there. With Hart, I think it's a little bit harder to evaluate exactly what kind of player you're getting, which I think in turn makes it a little bit harder for them to do anything now. It might be with him the kind of thing that, based on what he thinks he's doing, he might have a certain price set for himself on the open market. The Brewers may not evaluate him that way, and the only way they're really going to find out is if he goes out on the market and finds out one way or the other whether or not that market exists. But I think he's a lot tougher dynamic to try and deal with, because there's a lot more uncertainty with him than what you're getting with Prince.
Prince is 5'11", listed at 270. To think that over the course of a long-term contract that he's going to be able to maintain the weight, keep it from getting any bigger, that's a big question mark.
So you want to be a major league general manager. This isn't rotisserie baseball. These are huge franchise deciding decisions that Doug Melvin and Gord Ash are going to have to make. I don't envy them. As that ball missed down and in, a 2-out walk to pinch hitter Joe Inglet. (11-4), runner at first, 2 out, and the catcher Kataris. George is 0 for 2 with a walk. He's popping some leather, isn't it?
That one sounded like it was 110.
Yes. Come on, Jesse. Get right after this guy. Back to the mound. That'll retire the side.
A Prince Fielder homer, all Milwaukee gets in the 8th. And with a preview of what's coming up after the game, let's join our colleague Fred Hickman.
Well, thank you very much, Chip. Ron Gant and Jerome Jurinovich will be along with us here as we talk about what looks like a big win for the Atlanta Braves. They should have a 5-game lead. Who's the star of the game? McCann with 5 RBI. Diaz, who's been red hot his last 8 games. We'll talk all about it and have guest interviews for you as well. That's if we can get Jerome and Ron separated. There was a big cake fight that broke out upstairs. I understand that Jerome brushed Ron back with a piece of chocolate cake. I'll report later.
You know, Fred is exactly right. It may sound like a funny little flippant thing.
Really?
No, but you get cake around Jerome, and it's go time. You just do not go anywhere near Jerome and his cakes.
Did Joe West or Scott Berry have to issue warnings to?
Quite possibly. You just don't want to get in the middle of that.
I don't see Jerome throwing cake. Why is he going to waste it?
Omar Infante leads things off. And our first look in a while at Trevor Hoffman.
13 walks, 28 innings. That's different for him. I promise you, Jerome wasn't throwing cake. He was inciting a cake riot so that Ron would throw more cake at him so that he would have more for himself.
Oh, okay. See, the details are where it's at.
0-2 count. And a little flare into shallow right. And that's the way the year has gone for Trevor Hoffman. Good piece of hitting for Infante. He's got 4 hits in 5 tries today.
He came in a little cool spell. He was 0 for his last 6. He took care of that today. Trevor Hoffman tried to run one in on him, and on Fox Tracks, Omar just fought it off. A little Ric Flair to right.
It wasn't a Coors Light cool spell, was it?
No.
Woo. Leadoff single. Here's Gloss. Troy's been on base 3 times and smacks that right at Kane in center. And Troy's retired for the first out. Tommy, we were talking about Trevor Hoffman and the decisions that Milwaukee will have to make with him. I asked you about the stuff and the drop-off. In his early days, he was a flame-throwing guy. He's got a devastating changeup. How do you know when his changeup isn't good? For lack of a better way of asking the question.
Well, the hitters will tell you. You know, that's the one thing, I guess, not having seen him pitch, is I wonder about. I mean, I see him 84, 85. I'm assuming that's his fastball at 70-mile-an-hour breaking ball. But what always made him so good was his changeup. And if he's lost velocity and he doesn't have that differential anymore, then that pitch is less effective. Which I think that was it right there at 73 miles an hour. But, you know, again, I think sometimes it's not so much a drop off in stuff as it is when you get a little bit older, as much as it is maybe you don't have as pinpoint a location or you don't have the same movement anymore, especially for a guy who, for a while now, he hasn't really been a velocity guy. He's been a stuff guy.
Ground ball to short. There's one. There's two. And Trevor Hoffman gets an inning-ending double play to send this game to the ninth. With one swing of the bat, and that is our Toyota Tacoma play of the game.
On an 0-2 pitch from Manny Parra. That was about a 94, 95 fastball and blew this game wide open. 6th career Grand Slam, is that right? Man. 5 RBIs total on the day for Brian.
And broke open a 2-1 game. 5 runs for the Braves in the third. 2 in the second, single run in the fifth, 3 in the sixth. As a series of, I don't want to say offensive frustration, but a series where the Braves didn't get a lot of big hits in big situations. Well, that came to a close today. They put a hurting on Manny Parra. Allowed 10 runs in his start today. Lorenzo Cain, first big league hit last time up. A big swing is rolled foul 0-2.
It's funny. It goes to show you how the perception changes during the course of a long baseball season, which is why you hear everybody talk about it being a marathon and relax. You go from a 9-game losing streak and everybody's panicked. And now we have a little, 1-3 stretch, and it's like, oh my God, what's wrong?
It's not going back to April, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, as good as things have been, it's impossible for things to continue to go that way. There's going to be a little evening out.
Cain drives that ball to left center field. He hit that a long way and high off the fence. So his first and his second major league hits have come at Turner Field.
And very nearly his first big league homer on a hanging breaking ball. Oh, that was close. Woo.
So a leadoff double brings up Ricky Weeks, who's hit a couple of long balls today.
Cain's was born in Valdosta. Lives now in Florida, but I'm sure he's got some family here for the weekend to check him out in his first big league action. Good for him.
play foul. There were some who thought that Kane might be ready to be the man that replaced Mike Cameron in center field. As we told you, he got hurt. If he emerges and convinces Milwaukee that he can be an everyday player, maybe that'll open the door for a deal for Corey Hart.
I think between him and Gomez, one of those two's got to step up and play center field every day.
Line to right. You know, Braun's not going anywhere. They signed him to a long-term contract almost immediately.
I mean, they got a good nucleus of players here now. I mean, it definitely has become a team to me that is a much more attractive team to be a part of than it was probably 2, maybe 3 years ago. And you know, you got to figure somewhere along the line that's got to start playing into the game for them in terms of being able to keep guys.
Yeah, you got to pitch. And the Braves in this series missed the Brewers' best. That's Giovanni Gallardo. He was an all-star before getting hurt in his last start before the all-star game. And a couple pieces there, a couple pieces in the bullpen with this offense. Be a team to be reckoned with. Will it stay in the air long enough for Matty? No. And it's a single for Weeks, part of a 3-hit day for him, and they're at the corners with nobody out. Braves don't want to go to the bullpen with an 11-4 ninth inning lead.
Billy Wagner's beginning to toss a little down there. Sure would hate for him to have to get hot. But you do have a day off tomorrow.
Fly ball into center. There's the out. Braves will concede the run. Kane will come across. And that's sac fly RBI for Hart, his 70th run batted in this year.
70. Not bad for a guy batting second.
And coming into play today, Corey Hart trailed Ryan Howard by 2 for the National League RBI lead. And now an 11-5 game for Braun. Ryan with a couple of infield hits. He scored today. But it's 11-5, Braves in front. Past third and into the corner. Weeks around second. He will get the green light. Ball gets away from Diaz in the corner. It's now 11-6. An RBI double for Ryan Braun. He's got 57 runs batted in. And Jesse Chavez, 4 hits, 3 of them for extra bases.
I like what Bobby's doing here. I know it's not a safe situation. The game seems firmly in hand, but think back to that game against the Reds where Dusty Baker didn't want to go to his closer Cordero to the last minute, and then he left Cordero no wiggle room to get out of that inning, and the Braves came back, and ultimately Conrad hit the grand slam. So get Billy in here, clean this up, get it over with, and go enjoy the off day.
Yeah, remove all doubt. 11-6 your score. Runner at second, 1 out, and Billy Wagner. AT call to the bullpen. And this time it's Billy Wagner to try to remove all doubt and put this one into the win column as he'll face Prince Fielder.
It's been a few days since Billy's work, so a chance for him to get a little work in, which is a good thing too. First time he's appeared in this series.
Two RBIs for Fielder in the game, including a long home run back in the 8th inning. And a quick strike.
Yes, he did.
Prince Fielder doing some work behind the plate. No, he said. Scott Berry said yes.
I don't know. Hands went out there. Bat didn't go with it.
I never liked that. I never understood why the home plate umpire tries to make that call. Let the third baseman call it.
It's almost
third base
impossible.
umpire.
Yeah. I don't know why a hitter can't ask for the appeal.
Andrew always used to.
Yeah. But if the defense, if the catcher and pitcher can ask for help to get a strikeout, why can't you ask for help to make sure that it was done right?
A sweeping slider retires Fielder. Two outs.
Well, that was a big slider too.
Yeah, took a little off that.
And now Casey McGee, the final Brewer hope. Wagner trying to retire him for the 4th time in 5 at-bats. He's off to a good start.
Thing to consider is that since the Braves don't have a left-handed starter, teams might stack the lineup with left-handed hitters, and with 3 lefties, no matter who they are, down in the bullpen, you can create some problems for matchups for other teams if they've got a bunch of lefties in the lineup later in the game.
Off the glove of Billy Wagner. Gonzalez charges, fires on the run, and that's the ball game. Alex Gonzalez, right place, right time, and the right result. Braves win the ball game, split the series. And Derek Lowe has his 10th win.
Off the glove to the bare hand. Nicely done.
So 11-6 the final score here in Atlanta. The Braves with 13 hits. Brian McCann a 5 RBI day. And Atlanta a 2-2 split ends their season against the Milwaukee Brewers. Stay tuned. Coming up next, Braves Live from Turner Field. For Joe Simpson, Tom Glavine, and the crew, Chip Carey inviting you to